Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have maybe an atypical Christmas card, but yeah, and it's a fun day today because there are some new digital stamps released by Rachelle Anne Miller. This one is called Christmas Kangaroos and I just adored it the moment that I saw it. So today I'm showcasing this amazing digital stamp. If you want to see which other digital stamps are released, then definitely check out the Rachelle Anne Miller Instagram, but also Facebook. Other design team members created some fabulous cards with them. So definitely check it out to get inspired and get going with these amazing digital stamps. So this one is Christmas Kangaroos, and I decided to not go with the typical Christmas kind of vibe colors like reds and greens and such, and actually make a really fresh Christmas card, which I haven't done yet in a while. I think maybe even never. But I'm going to just use really soft colors in the background, have it maybe a bit spring-like, but these are kangaroos. Like, you can go crazy, of course, and you can add the most spectacular Christmas scene in the background, or you can keep this a really simple card, lots of white detail, maybe some snowflakes if you want to. Anything through it is possible, but I went for fresh and vibrant colors today. In case you want to revisit Copic colors combinations, I have them listed on my blog post. You can always find them over there later on if you want to, now if you want to. Just easy for reference. Now I'm using some warm brown colors here. For this big kangaroo, it's one of my favorite combinations along with the E37, which makes it a bit warmer than my soft brown combination that I use all the time. And then for the tiny one, I will use some markers from this combination, but we have a way smaller area, so I didn't need as much markers as I used for this one. And I also wanted to have a completely different brown, so I went for a darker tiny kangaroo there. For the shadowing, I am trying to sort of see how the animals are facing. So this one is facing towards the left side, so we have there that light source, and then the tiny one will have the light source more on the right side because it's facing towards the right side. So that was the logic behind behind the shadowing. Then for the coloring, I am doing some flicking mostly. It's a technique that I really like doing because it helps me to get that blend that I want. Also, if you are coloring critters like I do here, it also gives it more of a furry kind of look. If you want to go that way, then the flicking really helps with that as well. So I'm just making sure that I am using my markers from darkest to lightest, and I'm just blending everything out each time I take a lighter marker. Until I'm happy with that blend, you can add multiple layers if you want to. I most of the time need two, but it all depends on what you like, of course, and which paper you're using. I am using Transotype Perfect Coloring Paper, which is a fantastic paper for Copics. And yeah, for me, 2 layers most of the time work. So here my darkest color for this tiny one is the E77, and you might have seen it. It's quite a dull brown, but once you go over with a warmer brown, it really helps reinforce that warmness, and also it still gives that shadowing or that depth that you wanted. So that's why I really like this marker. I'm also trying from time to time to just use some markers that I purchased but barely use because I just have my favorite combinations that I tend to use all the time. So this way I had that E77. I gave it a bit of attention today. So I completely forgot the ears of the big kangaroo. I will fix that later on, but first let's just add a few red details. It was also because of these details that I decided that I wanted that Christmas hat to not be red. You can definitely add reds to it, but I went for yellow actually this time, a really warm yellow, which was important for me to bring in a bit of warmth, and that yellow really helped me with that. So let's do the ears right here. Again, same shadowing as I did on the body. Most of the shadowing is on the right side for this big kangaroo, and then I'm blending it out with my lightest markers. Also the nose, I am adding some browns. I really love adding like brown noses to critters if I use browns. You can also go for pink, or if you want to do kind of a Rudolph kangaroo, you can add a red nose, of course. Anything goes, truly. It's all up to you, to your imagination, to your design, what you're doing with your coloring, of course. So for the greenery, I'm also using a really fresh green color combination that I use all the time. It's the yellow green 17, 03 and 00. And I'm also going to use that later on to add grounding, but therefore I first wanted to die cut the panel to see how far I needed to go. So that I will not do right now. And all of the greenery that Rachelle Anne Miller designed on top of this digital stamp, I am also adding just some greens. You can go rainbow if you want to, you can do really vibrant colors, but I didn't. So I'm just making sure that I have some different kind of greenish kind of greenery. So I'm using a bit randomly the markers that I used for the greenery on the head all over the rest of the plants. So 2 layers here. The plants themselves are really small, really tiny, so there I'm not bothered adding a second layer. That 1 layer works perfectly. And then for my yellow head, as I said, I am just making sure to have shadows on the right side and then taking into account there where there is an overlap where the other elements can create some sort of a shadow on the head, and that's just how I added my darkest markers here. And then blending it out with the lighter markers. And I really love how this kangaroo has this yellow kind of head. I truly need to step away from time to time from the regular colors or more traditional colors, because random works as well. It works. So for the sentiment, I decided to take this great stamp set from Mama Elephant. It's called Joyful Greetings. I also have the matching dies for this set, which is great because if you don't want to commit immediately by stamping your sentiment, you can die cut, you can test things out like I did here. I was doubting about these 2 sentiments. Both can work perfectly. It will just change up your design a bit, and I'm sure that other sentiments would work great as well. But by being able to die cut these sentiments, I was able to wiggle them around, check whether I needed another design, whether I needed a smaller panel. It would work, but I didn't want to do that. So I went with the biggest A2 sized basic rectangles from Mama Elephant to help me cut out my panel, and then I will create my background. Now, to be sure, I am masking off my edges. This panel, while this die created these stitching details, and I really love keeping them wide. In the end, I'm not blending that far, so it was maybe not necessary, but I rather be sure than regret it later on. So I made sure to mask off the edges, and then I fussy cut the image out of just some regular printer paper. There are many ways to create your mask. You can do some masking paper, you can add some full stick post-it kind of paper on top of printer paper and print it. Use really like a sticky kind of mask. I just fussy cut quickly this image out of printed paper, and then I'm using a repositional adhesive to just make sure that I can get it off later on. Now, to create my background, I decided to take my favorite distress ink, which is the correct Pistachio, and I'm blending from the image towards the rest of the card. As you can see here, I'm starting around the image, so the image will have that blue glow around it as sky. I don't need my complete panel to be blue. I just wanted this fluffy blue kind of vibe around it to really have a sky represented. You don't need to. I find that the images from Rachelle Anne Miller were great on clean and simple cards. They have all the details they need, so you don't necessarily need to create a background. I barely do actually, because I find that maybe just add a bit of grounding and then leave the sky white as is. That works perfectly as well. So once I was happy with my blending here, I removed the mask. I will keep it aside because it is not oversaturated or anything. I can reuse it on my next project if I keep the same sizing of my images. And then I just made sure to remove that stickiness from that dot adhesive that I used. Now for grounding, however, I am going to use my markers, as I said previously, and I'm going to try to have a more, well, a random kind of grounding. I wanted different color schemes in it, so you will see it's a bit, I tried first to have some sort of a shaped kind of grounding, but I didn't like it. So you will see that I will adapt it completely and try to get rid of the lines that I created earlier on to fix that. So as I said, I'm using those markers that I also used on the Greenery, and here I was trying to have an organic kind of random grounding thing going on, but it was not working out at all, in my opinion. So I had to work around that to fix it and to still have something that I like. But it's like I always say, using my markers in the background for grounding, for sky and such, it's still a bit outside of my comfort. It has been a while since I created a background with markers. I did a few in the past to get outside of my comfort zone. It has been a while, so I need to try it again to just get some sort of a learning curve going on, but it has been a while. So here I just needed to make sure also to get rid of those lines that you can definitely see from my first attempt to create some grounding here. Therefore I will also use a darker green from this combination to make it a bit more random. Here, as you can see, I'm just adding a few shadow kind of spots here and there, and then I'm blending it out with those other markers again. But this card is almost finished, so it's really, it was a work in process. You can also do some ink blending here on the bottom, but I was afraid that I was going to blend over the already drawn grass and such, so I decided to go with the markers. Now for the sentiment, as I said, there are dies, so I made sure to die cut the sentiment 2 more times and then add everything on top of each other so that I would have a sentiment higher up. So I have 3 layers to just play a tiny bit with dimension, not much, but also I wasn't looking forward to fussy cutting maybe a bit of adhesive to go behind, so this helped me a lot. So once they are adhered on top of each other, I'm just going to add them to the panel. And then if you want to, you can definitely add embellishments. I even considered adding splatters of white gouache or even like snowflakes in the back, but I ended up not doing it because I really love the well, it's not simple, the design itself is simple, but I just love the details by Rachelle Anne Miller on its own, so I don't want to interfere too much when I create cards with her designs. I ended up adding here and there a bit of glossy accents, not too much, and then this card is completely finished. It is a really bright and maybe even spring-like Christmas card, but I know that there are a lot of people living in areas where there isn't like a white Christmas or like a cold Christmas, so in case you're living there, this is like a perfect card, I think. So this is the design, the card. I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope that you will check out the new digital stamps by Rachelle Anne Miller. They are adorable as always. Thank you so much for stopping by and taking the time to watch this video. I truly appreciate you all being here. I wish you all an incredible day, and I'll be back soon with some new crafty inspiration. Bye!